sin was, but we do know about Onan's sin. Onan apparently had a very devious plan. And that's what got him in trouble with God. Onan was instructed by Judah to marry Tamar and give her children. Now, remember how we looked at the law of primogeniture? Oh, this was back when we studied Joseph. And the inheritance, or we studied Jacob, I mean. The inheritance and family authority was passed along to the firstborn. That was how it happened. The firstborn got the inheritance, got what was called the blessing, which was the authority for the family, the authority of the family. And if the firstborn died, then the inheritance and the family authority was passed along, not to the second son, but to the son's firstborn. So, if Onan had had a child, had had a son, or even a daughter for that matter, but more than likely a son, then even though Onan had been killed, the inheritance would have passed on to to Ur's son. Get these two confused. If Ur had had a son, and Ur was killed, the inheritance would have passed on to Ur. Does that make sense? Let me put it in kind of today's terms. If we had the law of primogeniture today, and my father passed the inheritance on to me, if something happened to me, the inheritance wouldn't pass on to my next brother, it would pass on to my first son, to Eric. That was the law of primogeniture. That's the way that worked. So, when Judah told his second son, Onan, to go ahead and marry Tamar and have children with her, what he was looking for was to pass the inheritance on to that child, not to Onan. Onan was the second son of Judah, so he was not going to receive the inheritance. Tamar's children were going to receive the inheritance. So Onan says, what's in it for me? And furthermore, the inheritance would go to the child and to Tamar, the mother or the wife. It would not go to Onan. So if there was no firstborn of the firstborn, then the inheritance and family authority was out there in limbo. Where would it go? Then the law of primogeniture allows it to go to the second son, which would have been Onan. So, if my father passed on the inheritance to me, I died, and I passed it on to my son, the inheritance would go to my firstborn son, and he died and there were no other children, there are, but if there were no others, then that inheritance then would revert back to my second, or to my brother, Tim. Which is probably why Tim always wanted to kill me. Now that I think about it. So that's how that law of primogeniture worked. It would go to the firstborn and then to the firstborn of the firstborn, and if there was no firstborn, then it would go to the second son of the father. So Onan was thinking, and his plan was all along, I'm not going to give her any children because they'll get the inheritance. If she doesn't have any children, then I get it all. So that was the plan, and that was why the Lord killed him also. He was just devious, and God said, I'm not putting up with that. So he kills Ur, and he kills Onan. Lifestyle sin perpetuates the consequences. Where did Onan learn that? He learned it from his father. He learned that. Lifestyle sin perpetuates the consequences.